Hello everyone, I am Akshay. Today I am going to explain task 4.2c of unit 331, which is full stack development, secure backend services. So let's begin. Starting with, let's see that what this task is and what this task wants us to do. So in this task, we have to extend our previous task program, which is of task 4.1p. If we talk about the functionality, then it will remain same for robot command and map commands. But here in this task, we had created interfaces and repositories to provide a structured way to interact with data. Here we have to implement two interface files for repository, robot commands and maps. Also, on the other hand, we have to make repository to provide implementations for interacting with database to perform CRUD operations, which are create, retrieve, update and delete on robot command and maps. Also, we have to create the ADO files for interacting with database. It is different from the repository files as it interacts directly with database to handle low-level tasks such as making connections, processing, and executing the queries. But on the other hand, the repository file is used to handle the higher-level tasks as it provides interfaces that helps in fetching, adding, updating, and deleting the entities. Rest, the logic of the code remains same as previous. So now let's take a brief look on the codes. So first of all, if we talk about the map.cs and robotcommand.cs program files, then these both files are same which I had used in task 4.1p. In these files, I had initialized the variables and constructors. Then let's take a look on map.ado.cs file. So firstly, I had used the namespace of robot controller API to organize the different classes. Then after this, in map data access class, I had made the connection string which contains the field of the database such as the host, username, password to make the connection with the database. Then in this getMaps method, all the methods are being fetched from the database. As here I had made a list. npg SQL connection is a class provided by npg SQL library which I had declared earlier. So it represents a connection with Postgre database. Here I had selected this select star from map query to fetch the maps. It creates map object from the fetched data. Next, this execute reader is used to execute the SQL command which I had used as cmd and fetch the result. Then in this while loop, this read checks the condition if it is true or false. Inside this while loop, the data of all these variables is accessed. Here, the columns are assigned to the variables such as id, columns, etc. And this creates an instance of map class. Lastly, when all the rows are processed, then the map list is returned. Now this loop will be used for all the commands. Next, this getSquare map method is used to fetch the square map only, and here I had used this query which is select star from map where is square is equal to do this. Similar to getMap method, the iteration will begin and creates the object of the map. Then this getMap by id is used to fetch the specific map by using its id. It uses select star from where id is equal to add the map id query. Then if a map with the given id exists, then it creates and returns the map object, otherwise not. This addMap method is used to add the new map to the database, as it uses the insert query for this and modifies all the parameters accordingly. After this, update map updates the existing map in the database. It uses the update query to perform the action. Next, this delete map is used to delete the map from the database by using this delete query. At last, this check coordinate checks if the coordinates are within the map size. So now, here in this file, if we talk about the npg SQL, then it is a .NET data provider of PostgreSQL. It allows the .NET applications to interact with the PostgreSQL database by providing set of methods and classes. Then next, this npg-SQL connection is a class provided by npg-SQL library to establish and manage the connections between .NET applications and databases. It uses this connection strings which contains all the credentials needed to establish a connection. Now this open method is used to open a connection to Postgre database. It is a member of npg-SQL connection class. Next, this npg-SQL command is a class in npg-SQL library that allows to specify the query and execute the parameters that are needed to be passed to this command. Next, this execute-reader method is used to execute an SQL command as it generally used to fetch the query. Next, this read method is used to return the true and false value. Lastly, this add method is used to add the elements to the collection made by us. So this was all about the important npg-SQL methods which I had used. And this was all about the map ADO.cs. Now, same as the map ADO.cs, the robot command ADO.cs only have the same process. As here, I had used the namespace connection string and list same as the map data ADO.cs. Now talking about the commands. So this get robot commands fetch all the robot commands from the robot command tables, as it uses select star from robot command query to fetch all the data from the table. Here also it iterates the result from the while loop and creates robot command object. This get move command only is used to fetch the data in which the move command is true. It uses the select star from command where isMove command is true. Then this get command by ID is used to fetch the robot command by using its ID and uses its query. Then add robot command adds a new robot command to the robot command table. It uses insert for inserting new rows into the table. Then the update robot command is used to update an existing robot command, as it uses the update statement. Now lastly, this delete robot command deletes a robot command from the table by using the delete statement. So this was all about the robot command ADO.cs. Now next, as we had talked earlier that ADO files are used to handle only low-level tasks and used to perform CRUD operations, but the repository files are used for handling the high-level tasks as they provide interfaces and all. So if we talk about map command repository.cs, then firstly this map command repository class is inherited from iRepository and iMapDataAccess files, which are interfaces, which inherits their functionality. Then next are the methods which I had used, and these all methods are the same. These all are used to execute the command where in a then the single method is used to retrieve the single element from a sequence from the list. This npg-SQL parameter is used to define parameter in SQL command to prevent ejection attacks. So this was all about the map command repository.cs. Next, the robot command repository.cs is also same as it inherits the functionality of iRepository and iRobot command data access and uses the template of these interface classes. Next, all the commands and logics are same. Now next, in this extension method.cs, this extension method is a static class with map to extension method. It is used to simplify the process of mapping database. Then this iMapDataAccess, iRobotCommand.cs and iRepository.cs are the interface classes which act as template of methods. So this was all about my program code of task 4.2c. Now, if we talk about the map controller and robot command controller.cs. Then both of these files are almost same as task 3.2p, but there are bit changes. So by doing these changes, I had connected the commands with the database for updation. To do this, I had used robot underscore controller API.persistent namespace, which contains classes of both the files. Then this map data access got visible to this file, and I had used it with all the endpoints to fetch all the data from the database and to perform the actions which are create, retrieve, update, and delete for both robot commands and map in database. So now let's execute our program and try to test on Postman and Azure Data Studio. So now our application gets started. This is the interface of the Postman with all the methods which I had created to fetch the endpoints of task 4.2c. This is the database which I am using, that is Azure Data Studio. Now this is the table with headers. Now first of all, let's test the robot commands in Postman. As we can see that by getting all the robot commands, this command with ID 38 got appeared because I had initialized it earlier. Now let's add some new commands by using post. We can see that I had added 4 commands. Now let's try to get all of these commands. As here we can see that all of these commands got appeared. Next, testing the move command, we can see that the commands which I had created have move commands as true got appeared here. Next, if we try to read commands by ID, then we can see that by testing it with ID number 38, the data got appeared. Next, let's try to test it with 52. We can see that the command with ID 52 got appeared with its data, as I had already posted them. Now let's try to test it with the ID which is not there. As we can see that this exception occurred because no ID with this number is present. Now let's try to update the robot commands. Let's try it with updating ID number 38. So we can see that the command with ID 38 got updated. Now let's try to fetch ID 38 to check either it is updated or not. As we can see that it is successfully updated. Now let's check the table in Azure. As we can see that the table got updated with the respected value and by with the respected value which we had done with our actions. Now let's try to delete the robot commands. Now I am trying to delete ID number 38. Now let's check that whether if the database is updated in Azure or not. So here we can see that the column is successfully deleted of ID number 38. Now I am going to delete 53rd number ID. Now let's check it again. As we can see that the column with ID number 53 got deleted successfully. So this was all about the testing of robot commands. Now I am going to test the map commands. First of all, let's get the map commands. As here I had not initialized any data, so the data is empty. In Azure Database 2, the data table should be empty. As we can see that the table is empty. Now let's post some new maps with square and non-square rows and columns. As we can see that these are successfully created. Now let's check whether these are updated in Azure Database or not. As we can see that the table got successfully updated. Now let's try to get all the maps. So here we can see that all the maps which I had created are appeared here. Now let's try to check the square maps. As we can see that the maps with same rows and columns got appeared. Now next I am going to fetch the maps by ID. So firstly, testing with ID number 18, it is successfully fetched. Now let's try to fetch with ID number 12. As the ID number 12 is not present, so the exception occurred. Now let's try to test the put query by updating the map with ID number 17. Now let's try to get it. As we can see that the map got successfully updated. Let's try to check the database. We can see that all the data gets updated in the database. Now I am going to delete the data, delete the ID number 17 and 18. As we can see that the Azure get updated with the updated database. Now let's get the map by its coordinates. I am going to test it with map number 19 with 2 and 3 coordinate. As these coordinates are within the map bounds, so true is returned. Now let's try to check out of the map which is out of boundary. As we can see that false is returned because it exceeds the boundary limit. So this was all about the execution of this task 4.2c. Thank you very much.